All right. Hi, everyone. This is my crew.
Hi, Mommy Camera. Hi, Mommy Camera.
Okay, you guys, best behavior. Quiet down. Okay. All right. Hello, my name is Aubrey Ann Pennell, and I will be going over my persuasive speech about organ donation. Do you know anyone that has had organ failure? Have you experienced losing a loved one or someone close to you? Could their suffering or death have been prevented by an organ transplant? There are thousands of people that are on the transplant list with people that die every day waiting. We will be discussing who is being affected by organ donation, how organ donation could not or will not continue to meet the numbers of donations needed if there is not a better way to provide resources for those who are on the transplant list. Who is being affected by organ donation? I'm not saying that organ donation is a problem, but there is physical and psychological problems that go with it. Let's start by talking about the donor. Statistics show that more than half of the organs donated come from a deceased donor. This means that someone actually had to die in order to save someone's life. I'm not saying that they died to save someone's life, but because of their death, they did experience some suffering in order to do so. Current Medicine Research and Practice 2011 mentions the story of an 18-month-old baby suffered a head injury that resulted into her being declared brain dead. Imagine the pain and suffering that she had experienced with that injury, but was able to save 5 lives. Now imagine the family that is affected by the donor's loss. PubMed Central 2000 mentions parents after their children's death experience some sort of psychological symptoms such as anxiety and depression. Yes, grief does lessen with time, but prolonged grief can have even more issues. Impairment functioning, which is usually accounted by other mental health disorders, emotional behavior. The loss of a loved one is hard. As a mother myself, I couldn't imagine losing my 18-month-old baby. If you're a parent, I'm sure that you can relate to that too. Another person that is affected by this is the donee, the recipient of the organ transplant. Anyone that's listed on that transplant list needs a vital organ to survive. They're placed on a waiting list that can take months and even years to receive their donation. Donor Network West 1987 mentions that average times for a liver can take 30 to 5 years. A heart and lung can take up to 4 months. A pancreas can be up to 2 years, and kidneys are even longer. And on average, there's about 22 people that die every day being on that list. For the recipients who do then receive the organ transplant, can have survivor's guilt, imposter syndrome. All of that guilt sets in for some, because for some, in order for their life to be saved, someone else had to die. Now that we've gone over some of the psychological problems and physical harm that is involved with organ transplants, let's discuss some of the causes. The problem of organ donation, once again, is not the survivor's guilt or the pain and suffering. It is that there isn't enough donors. Did you know that prisoners on death row cannot be an organ donor? Yes, some of them, if not all of them, want a chance to be able to redeem themselves, so they'd love the opportunity. Wiley Author Services 2006 mentions that it is unethical, since prisoners have usually experienced some type of attitude with them being above the law, which is why they're in the predicament in the first place, but that would put the wrongdoer as more equal to a law-abiding citizen. One other reason would be giving this option could be the possibility that more prisoners would receive the death sentence or the death penalty. And that could stimulate more prisoners, more death sentences, accelerate the executions to make their donations even faster available. To harvest those organs, there's a need for physicians, nurses, and hospitals to be part of that execution. That's complete opposite of what they stand for, which most would oppose to participating in. In the occurrence of a traumatic experience, many people show the fear of the unknown and to get their way. BMC Public Health 2021 states a few reasons why people choose not to donate or become a donor. The donor can be afraid of pain, harm, or something they're not aware of. They might perceive organ donation as dehumanizing of their body, losing their individuality and dignity. The Transplantation Society 1966 mentioned 79% of families don't agree with it because they're not able to disconnect them from the machines, and 58% are in disbelief waiting for a miracle, whereas the others have religious and cultural beliefs that prevent them to be donated as well. Another cause is lack of knowledge behind organ donation. Only upon a person's death does the family even think about what's to come of their loved one's body. Unless someone is actually registered as an organ donor, most of the decisions falls on the family that is left behind. And during this time of grief, some can't even fathom what's happening. Now they have to make a life-changing decision that could have already been made for them. After discussing some of the reasons why there's not enough donors, let's discuss some solutions. What ways could there be solutions for this? Well, death row organ donation, let's make that mandatory. Let's make the recipient of the organ donor or organ donation be a priority. Any reasons why they're not allowed shouldn't even outweigh the end result. UNO's 1986 mentions that there's over 104,000 people that need a life-saving organ. And there's roughly up to 16,000 deceased that happened in 2023. Deceased donors, I should say. Let's not forget that one person's organs can save up to 8 lives. According to the Death Row Penalty Information Center in 1990, there was over 1,300 prisoners that had death sentences and were classified and active and enforceable. Yes, there's both people's lives are at stakes, but one is inevitable, so why not let their death benefit someone who is deserving to live? How about making more people aware of organ donation, how important it is to register as a donor? Mendo Publications 1997 mentions awareness is vital and can be done through social media, celebrity involvement, awareness camps that can give vital information. Right now, as healthy living adults, we too can make a difference. Health Resources and Services Administration states about 90% of adults are actually comfortable with being a donor, but only 60 of them are registered, 60%. So 30% aren't. It's so easy. Go to your DMV and they will be able to put that little pink circle on your license that says donor. Once again, let's set our morals and religious values and all of that aside and imagine the bigger picture. Our precious lives that we have lost can make a difference even after our death. Now that we've discussed issues that donees and their families face and the causes behind the shortage of organ donation, let's not ever forget the reasons behind it. There are thousands of people on the transplant list with double-digit numbers that die every day waiting. If we can put our feelings aside, become more knowledgeable about the process and register to be an organ donor, more lives can be saved. Thank you for listening.